your memory, although you had already studied all those topics in detail. So here in this presentation, we would not be going into the details of those knowledge areas. We would here primarily be focusing on having a sorry, we would be focusing on creating an understanding of the video gaming industry, and then we will see that in what kind of environment a Pixelwiz is operating, and then what is the basically the organizational structure, product line, and what are the goals and the objectives, vision, mission of the organization, how it is structured, what kind of the environment it has, right? So I have named this presentation the comprehensive analysis because it includes almost everything. Today we would try to cover as much as we can, and then on Saturday then we will cover the remaining part of the presentation, and by that time I might be adding some more material to this presentation. So we will start with the exam blueprint. Actually, this is the information like about your knowledge areas. You had already like studied these all topics. It is just to give you an understanding that what examiner expect from the students during the case study exam. Like we have been told about the core activities and then the assessment outcomes. Here the core activity, for instance, is develop the business strategy. So if we see a situation there in our exam, we should have the capability to evaluate the various strategic options, digital or otherwise. Digital is so relevant in your case, and you will see that that wherever it is relevant, they have specifically mentioned digital and otherwise. Why digital? Because we have seen that after the emergence of these disruptive technologies, the business models of the organizations have changed so much. So having an understanding of your the environment and the application of the digital technologies in your environment is of great importance. As you would see that in your case study, the advancement in digital technologies have actually changed the shape of the video gaming industry. For instance, you will see that this augmented reality, virtual reality, and on top of that this cloud computing, this cloud computing capability has actually changed the shape of the industry completely. So here then you need to have the understanding that what kind of the strategic decision you need to recommend to your company, and similarly like evaluating the business ecosystem and business environment, like your environment is a complex, simple, how many participants are there, is there any organized organized, is there any the organized relationship between the among the participants of the ecosystem, how they collaborate and compete with each other. Then recommending the financing strategy, that is your that F3. So we will be looking at the suitable sources of finance, that your dividend policy, your investment policy, business valuation models, and then we will be moving towards the risk management. So you should have the capability to evaluate the risk and recommend response. Here the cybersecurity risk is important in your case study, because most of your business is online, and whenever you are connected with internet, you are exposed to the cyber security risk, right? So it would not just be limited to the cybersecurity risk. We will your various type of the strategies could also like exposed to you various kind of the risk, like in your case that if your company Pixelwiz just be introducing another franchise of your game, that would probably be a less risky option compared to coming up with a altogether a new game. As you would see that in your pre-scene, when we will go into the details, that introducing a new game requires a lot of work, a lot of investment. So that you will see that despite the fact that you gauge the market, you get a feedback, still you could never be certain that your product would be accepted by the market, or it would be successful or otherwise. So those risks also need to be evaluated and see that what kind of strategy would be good in the different markets. Then we will also look at that what kind of the internal controls you could have in your organization in order to ensure that it operate in an orderly fashion and in the best interest of your investors and the other stakeholders. So other stakeholders carries a lot of importance in your case as well, because the games we have been told are a kind of like a service which is being consumed by each age group. So we will have to see that like our the games are prepared in such a manner that those are not hurting the society. And we have also been told that the games are played around the globe, so we need to ensure that those the games are meeting the standards, social standards and the legal standards of all the jurisdictions. And then the last one is the recommend and maintain a sound control environment. That is again a part of the good governance, that you would be ensuring that the best practices are adopted and practiced by the professionals in your company. So we will see that what is the role of the internal audit, and then we will see that that what are the appropriate control, and we will evaluate the implications of the compliance failure. So these are broadly the kind of the expectations the examiner would be having from the candidates during the exam. So while you would be writing your exam, the examiner would be expecting that you do have the capability to perform all these responsibilities as a senior finance manager in your company. Then the role of the senior finance manager, as you know that you have already studied about the knowledge area, so here your role is also like revolving around those things. You would see that here the things are the same things, have been just presented in slightly a different manner. So senior finance manager advising of the organization, the leaders in the development of the business. You have seen that the examiner expect that you should have the capability to recommend the right type of the business strategy for your company, and then you should have the capability to evaluate the various strategic options. It is not like that you just be recommending one strategy. That you would also be explaining that if some strategy is not good for your company, what are the reasons. Like if you would be recommending that the rational model of strategy development is not appropriate for Pixel Wiz, then you will have to build an argument for your this opinion, right? Then there is a duty to advise on the issues relating to corporate governance, which is related to that your risk management, because the corporate risk, as you know the definition. The risk is basically the occurrence of any undesired event. So corporate governance ensure that you keep the internal controls in place, that the chances of anything undesired, the chances of the occurrence of any undesired thing are minimized. Then then the important they are important both because of the reputational risk arising from poor governance and threats to the well-being of the internal and external stakeholder, as I told you that this is important. Why you need to have a corporate governance? Because you want to ensure that your company is performing in an orderly manner in the best interest of your investors and the other stakeholders, right? So, as an important element of this, the senior finance manager is frequently involved in the evaluation of the control environment and the management of the internal audit. The need to manage control is crucial given the increasing dangers arising from the cyber risk. Now, this is again directly relevant to your case study, because in your case study you need to ensure that that the standards are developed and implemented in your company, or the internal controls related to the the cyber risks are developed and implemented effectively. Then here the frequent requirement to support strategic decision making may require the formulation of models and other, that if you would be advising your top management or the board that we need to handle the stakeholders in such a manner, then we could use that Mendelow's, that matrix, or in order to resolve the conflict, this is the model we could adopt. So you should have the understanding of all those models and the methods for justifying and legitimizing your decision. Here this is so important, this is so important to understand that while you would be writing your answer, just don't write, just that you just don't reach to the conclusion. That happens to the many students, that they would be just be writing the final recommendation, and then they would be feeling short of the material to write in the exam. So in order to beef up your question, and in order to make it look appropriate in meeting the standards and expectations of the examiners, you need to you need to support your answer with the appropriate type of the those models, the knowledge areas, or the theories, right? So that is so important, and a good way of writing answer, as I have already told you, that is to briefly explain that model, and then discuss it in the given situation. That will help you to have the enough material to write in your exam, and then to look your reply the more professional and more appropriate, and that would then be understandable by the reader as well. So here the business case for digitization and the manner in which the entity create partnership for ensuring strategic success must be understood. Here again, this is directly related to your company, like you are operating in a highly digitized environment. So you need to understand that we have been told that there are hardware devices manufacturers, there are internet service providers, there are cloud service providers, there are the website, then the host website hosting service providers. We have also been told that certain part of your code are even written by the third party. You could those readily written codes, you could take those codes, and then you could embed them in your program, in your code, in order to create a comprehensive game. So here you need to have an understanding that how you would be competing and collaborating with the various participants of your ecosystem. Now these hardware manufacturers, these the internet service providers, these website hosting service providers, and then those those even those television manufacturers, your console games are basically the people they play those games on the television. Mobile manufacturers, right? The software developers who develop the software for the mobiles and tablets and the PCs, those are all like the participants in your ecosystem, and you need to see that how you could collaborate and compete with them in order to optimize the experience of the customer. Your customers are the game players actually. So the senior finance manager advise on the matters that involve considerable judgment and they may have a significant effect on the stakeholders and therefore must adhere to the high standards of professionalism. Now this is something about the ethics. While you would be practicing in your company, you need to have an understanding that what is the what are the principles of the ethics and what are the various type of the threats to those ethics. So whenever you would be performing your assignment, you need to keep those the principles of ethics in mind. Especially, again, this is important in your case that you would be having a lot of information, personal information, and the credit card and other information of the information of the preferences of the various the subscribers. You got a huge number of subscribers who play your games every day. The number that has been mentioned is 300 million, the subscribers. And we have been told that at any given time, 800 players are playing your game. So you know that this is a huge number. So you are custodian of the information of the large number of your customers. So you need to ensure that that you are using that information ethically, and as well as like when you would be developing the games, you would be ensuring that the ethical standards are being adhered to, right? So this is generally, that this basically slide and this slide, these are interlinked. This tells that what the examiner would be, the testing, the knowledge areas that would be tested in the exam, and this is what the examiner expect from the candidate. Like the candidate here, you are the senior finance manager in your company. So these two slides are interlinked. This is so important to understand the importance of this whole thing, because that will give you kind of a framework to develop your thought process while you would be approaching your exam. That is so important. I'm again repeating, you should have a you should have a very clear understanding of what is your role and what is being expected from you in that exam. So after having the understanding of the the exam and the expectations of the examiner, here we will be moving to the industry analysis. Our pre-scene is about the video gaming industry. We will start with the analysis of the industry. So what is this gaming market? Here, this information is from the real world. The size of the global video game market will accrue to about 90 billion in 20 from 78 billion US dollar in 2017. There is a that is implying a increase of 14.6%. That is a cumulative CAGR, you could say that cumulative. No, it's a cumulative growth, not cumulative average growth, right? So on cumulative average growth, there is a time period of 3 years. So on average, you know that 5%. Every year there is a growth of 5%, which is a huge, by the way, growth percentage. So largest gaming markets are China, United States, and Japan. Your country, um, Westland, and the countries where you do have your the foreign offices, these Eastland, Westland, Northland. We have been told that those countries have fairly large market of the game players. So your countries, or probably that you are probably in United States, and your those foreign subsidiaries are maybe in China, Korea, Japan, etc., right? So some elements of the gaming market, such as esports, are expected to increase. This is like the most recent development in the gaming industry. This esports, that is the like increasing. Uh, drastically and value in the future due to increased public coverage and higher sponsorship proceeds. Now esports, you could like google it, you would see that what this esport is. Here the players play the game, and those the viewers would be watching the game. So even they do this esports in the stadiums. If you have been to like in these countries like Korea or China or Japan, you would see that that there are. I have seen there in Tokyo like the people. There are huge halls and the people are sitting there and playing the game. And you probably won't believe that the way they play the game with such a concentration that if whatever you are doing close to them, they would not even give give a look to you. So instead of generating revenue through the sale of hard copy games, companies will primarily create earnings through gaming purchases, right? So that is the freemium business model. We will see that what this freemium business model is. You must be having the knowledge of the premium business model here. This is the freemium, or you would be then generating the revenue if the games are basically being offered to the players free of cost. Another model which is tightly connected to freemium is free to play. Free to play enjoys an enormous popularity around the world, specifically in Asia. On average, 85% of the total revenues come from the pay to play, right? And free to play, uh, revenue from the pay to play and free to play relate to the later category, right? So there is something wrong with this English. This 85.5% of total revenue from pay to play and free to play related to the later category. I'll see that what's wrong with it. Okay, so value creation in gaming industry. So how the value is basically being created for your customers. So the value is created by the participants of your ecosystem, and we that we have various type of the participants in the ecosystem. Now this is the game content means that the company like your company, those the companies which are actually developing the games, then the game platforms, those companies. And as you know that while we were studying the pre-scene, we have seen there like the gaming platforms are basically being provided by the hardware devices, and the cloud computing is also kind of a platform which gives the players computing capability. So they need to have that computing capability, local remote computing capability. They just need to log on and then play their game using the processing power of the cloud service provider. So game platforms and the game consumer. Now these are basically the directly linked, and then we got the digital channels for the distribution of the companies, the website service websites. That from where you would be downloading or you would be creating your logins, physical channels, as we have seen that that those. Uh, if you would be buying that for a DVD or the CD communication channel, you might be using the traditional media, right? Traditional media is advertisement on the relevant journals, newspaper, or that on the different other medias. The social media, this is the now the important media, which is which is this is the the media on which you would see that most of the advertisements are being published these days. So this is the important media to have the to use that viral marketing tool as well. So we have been told here that that the one player who would be enjoying the game, that would be recommending to another player to play that game. So that is all done through the social media and other consumer society. There might be some gaming association and all that. In the countries they do have those societies and the associations where people meet together and they discuss these things. So um, then for the physical channel digital recommender systems, there could be like a recommendation system where you might tell that your friends like that there is a shop from there you could get the CD. So this is the traditional one, right? So this is the value creation in the gaming industry generally. Now, stages of the game development, we will see that in more detail in our pre-scene. They would tell us that how the game is actually created. They will tell us about the various, that the roles people played while developing the game. So first, planning. What are we building? What is our budget? That hey, there in your pre-scene you will see that the game producer would be basically be performing this function. Then pre-production, storyboarding, boarding, storytelling, technological capabilities, early prototyping, right? Then modeling, designing, audio, visual effect, physical. That creating a code, the designer would be creating those characters that would be then generated through the code by the programmer. Then testing those. This is an important area. You will see that the the companies before, or the Pixelways, that before publishing the game they would be testing for to check the bug if there is a error in the code. So they would be exploring all type of the options in the game. So when it is published, it should not be having any bug or any error. So is the game even fun? Like, so whatever the design and all the value that they wanted to deliver to the player, whether that is being delivered through the game. It is exactly the same manner when that uh, these in you must have seen that when the food is actually created in those programs where the chefs compete with each other. So there is a guy who tests that food and tells that that the food is good. These testers testing is exactly the same way. They would be playing the game and they would tell them that whether it is enjoyable or not, because the idea is that you want your customers to have a quality good time, so they could play a game and then they should enjoy it. So enjoy, that enjoyability is the basic criteria which would retain your customers. Then pre-launch, you could do the alpha beta releases and marketing, hype, gaming conventions, independent advertising. Then at a launch, major bug, minor bug squashing. So if there is any bug that would be that would be like corrected, they might do some changes. Then master release, polishing. These are just like the type of the small activities that you would be doing. Then the post production, more bug squashing, game patching, game balancing. That there, after even the release, there is a update. They send you a message that you need to update your software. This happens with all type of software, because the game is also a software. So like any other software, you might be getting some the patches in order to keep it working. So gaming market, we have been told, I mean in the real world, the gaming market, there are a lot of mergers and acquisition. So in 2016, game deals reached an accumulated total amount of 30 billion. Approximately 94% of the total volume can be attributed to mergers and acquisition. And then merger and acquisition activity surpasses its previous record of 2014. So you know that this information, actually you don't need to remember all these numbers. The idea is that you should have an understanding that merger and acquisition is a kind of a very common thing in technology industry, especially IT technology industry. In order to create the economies of scale, or in order to complement, each other, and in order to get an access to the players and the customers, these technology companies do the merger and acquisition. You must have heard that Facebook acquired this company, Yahoo acquired this, Google acquired that company. You know that this is a very common news. Otherwise, you would not see such a news for the financial institutions or any other oil companies, right? For the technology companies, this acquisition is a very common thing. So, in your video gaming industry, you should expect that you are given some situation where you are merging with some other company, or you are acquiring some other company. Then here a little the kind of refreshing your knowledge about the merger and acquisition. We know that the concept of the merger is like two companies prior to merger, they are separate. When they merge, they become they integrate. There would be the integration in the processes. The two companies will be then converted into the one company. Now the acquisition process is more of a hostile takeover. That in merger, that is not hostile. Both companies would be merging together with their own will. Whereas in acquisition, there would be a small company, there would be a large company. The large company would be acquiring the small company, and then small company would become the part of that large company. Then we do have the joint venture, that is a collaboration. So joint venture, the two partners to joint venture, they would just be getting together for a specific purpose, for a specific assignment, and then they, that this is the color shows that this is now a new, these two companies remain there. This is the third one, joint venture, right? So joint alliances, two companies remain separate companies. They just join hands. They collaborate with each other and in certain areas. So you will see that in your console manufacturer and your company, like a software development, and you are in software development, you could join hand with the console manufacturers to a certain extent, because you will see in your pre-scene they have told us that the console manufacturers have their own website and they have started to develop the games as well. So obviously that is not their specialized area. So in order to avoid the competition, or in order to create a collaborative environment, you could join a hand with them and tell them, like, that we would be using your console services. So if you want to develop a game, we could extend you the services, and we could have some the arrangement. So that could be alliance, or that could be a joint venture. So what is the freemium business model? Basically, freemium business model, there would be a free trial. You must have seen that they would allow you to join the company, the website free of cost, and then you would subscribe to it, and then for the upgradation they might be charging you the money, right? So that is the freemium model. So freemium means that basic service, for example, an app can be used without any cost. However, there are premium priced, while added services included, which can only be accessed if a payment is being made. This model boosts the amount of users, and they ultimately also amount of the paying users. So prominent examples of premium are LinkedIn, Skype, Survey, Monkey. Like you, LinkedIn, everybody can join it, but in order to enjoy their premium service, you will have to make a payment. So now business model gamification. This is another, although it has not been mentioned like directly in your pre-scene, but this is an important concept. Gamification attempts to add game-like elements into tasks, which are usually not connected to gaming, in order to encourage motivation and participation. So this is a kind of a learning process in your company. So like in order uh, to train your your employees, or in schools even, you could take the sport of the game. So through the games you could teach your the employees or your students. So even though it is a relatively new term, gamification become more apparent in the daily life of people. Example of gamification includes I Spy, Pretzel campaign, Nike Plus running. So there might be some other example. You could see that you must have seen one or other type of the gamification in the real life as well. So business model, serious games. The main purpose of the CDM here, like I'm trying to give you the understanding of how this gaming, the industry you will work. You will see that that these there would be more detail in your pre-scene analysis, where they would be giving us the knowledge about the industry. Here, the main purpose of a serious game is not to entertain, but to enhance the motivation of participant in order to accomplish boring or tedious tasks or to learn. So, in contrast to gamification, serious games actually do have a gameplay, whereas gamification games usually do not incorporate the gameplay. Gameplay, like here in gamification, there would it would be looking like a more like a game, so you would be actually enjoying. Whereas in serious games, uh, you that is basically the task. That is to basically, if you want to impart the training of the strategy development for strategic forces, they might develop some games. So that war games and all that, they say that that is also something else, but from that you could understand that what this serious games actually mean here. Then serious game versus gamification. Here, why I'm telling you that, you might see some, that in unseen, that the pixel is expanding to the the serious game or the gamification. So at least you should have the understanding, if you see this kind of a word there, so you should not be feeling lost, that I don't know what this the thing is all about. So at least you should have the basic understanding that what these terminologies mean, and what are the the basic the attributes of these games. So while then you would be writing there, you would be feeling more comfortable. So here, a serious game is the real world challenge, and the problems become part of a classic game context, right? Problem, activities, etc. So serious game acting in a virtual environment, right? Whereas in a gamification, transfer of game mechanics, elements, psychology, and aesthetics into environment and process with the non-gaming context, right? So here, like staying in reality. Now, the growth trends, this information again has been presented there in your pre-scene in a different manner. But this is the real information. That is like for the case study, the same information. The information given there in your pre-scene, almost similar like this one. So, uh, this is the basically the uh, cumulative average growth, and then here this is the revenue, the size of the industry, right? Here we have been told actually that although the size of the augmented reality games and the virtual reality games is small in terms of the revenue, but this is the fastest growing industry. And you should keep in mind that your company Pixelwiz is still not in augmented reality and virtual reality games, right? Whereas we have been told that the size of the mobile games is too much, and that is the reason is that mobile is the most commonly used hardware device for the games. So that is the reason. That is the reason that mobile games are generating the highest amount of revenue, but that is not growing so much at a faster pace. Reason that has already almost kind of not saturated, but to a certain extent now the growth has reached to at a level where it has become so slow now. So here the points that we are picking, that these are the fastest growing areas in the video games. And here we have been told that PC hardware console, those areas have actually shown a negative growth during the period of 2016 till 2021. So this is a very interesting slide actually. These massively multiplayer games that are also like increasing at a good pace, but e-sport very small in terms of revenues, but that is also like one of the fastest growing um, fastest growing area in the video games. Then the VR hardware, those simulators, and that you would be wearing those the goggles, and you would be feeling like in virtual reality. That is also growing, right? So here the pick from these slides are the VR hardware, AR games, and virtual reality games are the fastest growing, but are small in terms of the volume. So you don't need to remember exactly the numbers. All you need to remember is the gist of this slide. This is a quite informative slide. Then KPIs of the video gaming, although we have been told that is called the digital traction. In your book you had seen about these KPIs. These might be feeling a little bit different, but those are almost the same: daily active user, number of active user, monthly active users, that ratio of new user to the repeat user, then the number of the visitor, number of the registered user. You must be experiencing all this, because these are the same for all type of the safe software. It is not just for the gaming softwares. You know that when the Uber and Careem, they introduced their services in Pakistan, they were actually focusing on the subscription. Their KPI was to increase the subscriber, not to generate any profit. So they were keeping their fares at a dirt cheap, level, and their prime focus was just to capture more and more subscribers. And then here is the real information about the 2020 global markets per device and segment with the year-on-year growth rates. We have been told that the highest amount of the revenues are being generated through the mobile, the games being played on the mobile. So here the same thing, mobile, the mobile games, the highest amount of revenue. And then but it's growing 13.3 year on year, whereas console 45.2 billion. Similarly, here 63 billion from the smartphone games, right? I don't know what's the difference between the mobile and the smartphone. My understanding is that smartphone and mobile phone are probably the same thing, right? So there might be some difference, right? So the again that,
पुराना वाला
but how come they are
नोकिया वाला
playing?
पुराना
No, I don't think that they are talking about that thing, because you cannot play these type of games there. So mobile games revenue in 2020 will account
maybe
for.
handheld devices,
Sorry.
portable console और PSP, maybe handheld devices की बात हो रही